This is Ask the Mayor on KWBE, our weekly program, talking about city government with Mayor Stan Wirth. Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Pretty good. We wanted rain. We got rain.
We have nice. Rain, and it's going to rain some more today, according to the forecast.
Ever since last Friday, of course, we don't want the storms and everything, but the damage is stuff that can happen. But I think we probably had, about 2 inches, a little bit more since then. So,
good. So it helps with the deficit that we were going into spring with. And, the warm weather is going to really help things come along with the growing of grass, and the growing of crops, and hopefully the warm weather sticks around just a little bit longer so we can get field work done. Great
thing is it took some of the fire danger away, too, because that was really bad there for a while, and some areas of the country are still experiencing that, unfortunately, but we're in a better shape right now.
Yeah.
Coming up early next week, it's kind of sneaking up on us here, the citywide large item cleanup program will start on Monday through Wednesday. It's a 3-week program. You have a kind of a recovery day on Thursday to pick up areas missed, but this year, I guess tomorrow is the registration deadline.
Final registration deadline is tomorrow for the citywide pickup, which is going to be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. And like you said, any other things that need to be picked up or things that were missed, they will do the cleanup on Thursday the 12th.
Any idea on how many registered so far?
And I asked that question just this week and didn't get a definitive answer, but we do have one motorized vehicle, if you will, to pick up because of the junk car amnesty. If anyone has any junk cars that they want to get rid of, register that car and that address, and we'll pick that up at no charge.
Doing that for the first time, I would imagine you could kind of expect it, and maybe people didn't really learn about it or know about it, so it's probably going to be pretty light this first time, but at least give you an indication of, is there any interest in it?
Right. Well, we would hope that in subsequent years that people do take advantage of that. It's a free service as opposed to can I afford to take it to the junkyard, for instance, to dispose of it. So it again, is an amnesty program, and if anybody wants to take advantage of it, please register your name and address and the type of vehicle, and we'll be out to take care of it.
And I think there was some information on your website about how the title is handled and everything that you have to do.
There is, and that will certainly be taken care of by the company that picks it up and also the company that receives it.
In the time you've been mayor and you're in the last year of your second term, I know junked vehicles has periodically come up and abandoned or inoperable vehicles from time to time. Has that problem gotten better, or is it? I know there's still every town has a little bit of a problem,
and I think it has gotten a lot better. And I think it is a tribute to the city council's decision to hire a code enforcement officer, and that code enforcement officer knows the community real well and knows where those vehicles are, and is working with those residents to come to some kind of resolution on how we take care of the situation.
Most of the cases where you do get a resolution to them are just a matter of cooperation. You don't have to go the whole length through the court process to do it. So
absolutely, there's always compromises that can be had during the negotiation process, and so again, it is something that I think has improved dramatically.
The mattress part of the pickup program will be a little bit different this year. You're going to be using the compost site at the Beatrice Area Solid Waste Agency landfill. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything to bring it in, but it is for Beatrice only.
It is. And the hours are convenient. It's from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily during the citywide cleanup. Compost site is also open from 8 to 8 Monday through Saturday. On a regular basis. But on these specific dates, 9th, 10th, and 11th is when they'll accept mattresses. You do need to show an ID that you are a resident of Beatrice. If not, we're going to send you on down the road.
Won't have that problem with people bringing in truckloads or trailerfuls of mattresses.
Certainly want to eliminate that, as I've mentioned on subsequent programs, or previous programs, is that this is a program that the city is offering to residents of Beatrice who pay for this service. And so we would like the residents of Beatrice to certainly have the knowledge that we're not just taking it in from other people at an extra cost to our residents.
So you're not going to miss the boxcar with all the mattresses dumped by it this year? Yeah.
Well, we hope not, but I think there's always going to be situations where it's going to be a learning curve, and there will be a training process.
Yeah. Most of the rules as far as what you can put at curbside are the same for the most part, aren't they?
Yeah, wood, batteries, stuff like that.
Stuff that you would normally not be able to throw out in the regular garbage service you could put out there. So expect the usual amount of trailers Saturday or Sunday trying to pick out the stuff they want.
Yeah, probably so. You're going to see that regardless. We've always seen it that way, and I don't think this year is going to be any different, but that's just the way it is.
So for people who have not registered, if you could do that today or tomorrow at the latest, tomorrow's the deadline, that would help out just kind of for planning purposes.
Absolutely.
Get ensure that things that you do set out are picked up on that day of your pickup, and we'll run those down as we get into next week as far as the areas to be picked up. Coming up also on Monday, I believe it is, right prior to the, no, I guess you don't have a city council meeting next week.
We do not.
One. I was thinking school board. My meetings are messed up here. Second open house on the Lincoln Corridor project is Monday from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m.
Correct.
How much in terms of information from the first open house have you been able to see as far as what the consultant is kind of coming up with, or maybe some of the alternatives?
I've really not seen what some of the changes are because of the suggestions that were received from the public. I'll, along with the public, see that on Monday when we have the second open house at Lincoln Elementary School at 19th and Lincoln Street. But there are going to be some different scenarios of what everything could look like, anywhere from a 4-lane street all the way down to a 2-lane street with a turn lane, a third turn lane. I've not, again, been privy to what it's going to look like, but they are maybe looking at doing a hybrid where there would be areas where there would be parking along Lincoln Street, and then there would be areas where there would not be parking along Lincoln Street. For instance, if you have alley access, that would be an area that parking on Lincoln Street would be prohibited. But again, this is all going to be part of a larger design, a larger scheme of what this could look like. And again, that's why we're having a second meeting. And if we need a third meeting, we'll have a third meeting.
Is there any concern about maybe making it at least uniform enough as far as on-street parking and where it's not, so that you're not maybe needlessly confusing a motorist as they're driving down the street, where you're seeing a change every other, say, 3 or 4 blocks?
Well, you see that today.
Yeah.
I mean, where you see on-street parking in different locations. And I think it's primarily where there is not alley access to the properties. So I don't know that would be a huge transition. I think what is going to be of the biggest concern is the improvements that are going to be made. How wide is the street actually going to be? Are you going to take additional properties from the property owners, where, you certainly don't want the curb to be right at their doorstep or anything like that. So it's going to be, I think, a design that is suggestive, but by the same token, we have to take a good hard look at how we do that improvement. One way or the other, we're going to have to start improving that street. The asphalt is starting to get compromised with, the heavy traffic and the weather and everything else. So regardless, something is going to have to be done soon.
I get asked every once in a while about that 13th and Lincoln intersection where it jogs a little bit there. Any early thought about how that might be handled as far as, making that a little bit safer?
Yeah, and I think hopefully we're going to try to straighten that out as much as we possibly can. Where you would use maybe some bump outs along that segment to maybe assist in straightening the street itself out. 6th and Lincoln is another location where they've got a pretty good idea of what they want to do there. And at 19th and Lincoln, they've got a pretty good idea of what they want to do there. The initial thought was we'd put a roundabout there. What's unfortunate is that it would take quite a bit of property to do that. More likely a four-way stop for a period of time and just remove the street light.
Seems like where roundabouts are used, as you mentioned, you need a lot of property, and there are not homes or anything nearby it. I mean, they're pretty much in an open area where you do have the room to marshal all that traffic around, because you're talking about several yield signs and yield areas where you got to make sure that people get through there without crashing into each other, and that takes quite a bit of space.
Yeah. Well, it takes space, and it's also a little bit of a learning curve for some folks who are not used to them. If you drive to Lincoln, some streets you go down about every mile or every every 5 blocks you see another roundabout. But again, it's something that has been discussed. I don't think that is going to get any traction at all, especially at that location.
Yeah. Is the timetable still kind of June when you get you kind of deal with any recommendations and then kind of decide which direction you're going to go from there?
Right. And then once you have that study completed, then you would actually go out for a design of what the street will look like and then some possible costs of what it's going to take.
What's your thought on how much of it can be handled at once or how much has to be phased in over time?
It's a great question. And that, I think, is going to be part of the public meetings of what the public feels we need to do, how we do it. To bite off that entire chunk at one time is going to be huge. It would close the street for a long period of time. And so, but on the other side of it, the project would come in probably cheaper because you've got the contractor there. He's already mobilized all of his equipment. To do that twice, to do it 3 times, it's going to cost a lot more money.
One last question, and not to get too deep into the weeds on this, but the other thing that you hear about every once in a while is why is there sort of a different speed limit on Lincoln, kind of toward the east end, toward 19th, where you have it at 25, and then the rest of it you have it at 35. Would that be something that would...
Because it had to do with the school.
The school, basically.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, you've got a lot of people there when school is in session, 2 different times during the day, and you just lower the speed limit just for safety reasons.
Okay. Back with more on Ask the Mayor with Beatrice Mayor Stan Wirth. Give us a call if you have a question at 402-228-5923. We're back on Ask the Mayor with Mayor Stan Wirth today. 228-5923 is our number. The other big item coming up next week, of course, is the primary election on Tuesday, the 10th, and I think it's the 10th. Look at my calendar here.
It is.
One of the items that will be on the local ballot here is the economic development question, the extension of that program. You opted to do kind of a shorter time frame on it, but change the dollar amount too that sales tax could generate toward that purpose upward. Kind of go over the thinking of that.
Well, I think it's been some 10 years since we've did any modifications to it. It's something that comes up, and it needs to be approved by the voters. The sunset clause on the initiative that we have in place today is May of 2023. Obviously, it makes a lot of sense to have it on the ballot this year, and we're increasing the amount from $250,000 to $300,000. And that money is used to recruit, retain, and redevelop businesses that are in our community. Loans that we've recently took care of was with Hybrid Turkeys and Landmark Snacks, and their employee base actually is pretty substantial, and so that's the whole idea for the LB840 and how they're utilized. We've also have completed loans to retain different businesses in our community recently. Ewell Sporting Goods Valentino's, Dog's Hut, Envision Landscapes are just some of those that we assisted in trying to help those businesses continue to prosper and grow. And then we're always looking for the other businesses that are interested in coming to our community, just another incentive that the community has available to them to bring these businesses here and increase the employment base.
Typically, the length of the program has been the 10 years. You went with a 6-year period this time.
Right.
Is that basically to maybe just be a little more flexible as adjusting for inflation or what? Or
well, and to assess the program, where it stands today versus where it could be by increasing the dollar amount, just to make sure that we have those dollars available if a business is coming from out of town, or there's going to be an expansion of an existing business.
Over time, in the next few years, as you pay off the fire station, that half-cent is going to
that'll disappear also.
This is not a new tax. This is basically just renewing that portion of the sales tax.
It's been in place since 1972. Could that be? It's been a long time.
Trying to think, as I know it for sure in the 80s,
yeah.
Because I know when I got here in 1980, and the program's been here forever and ever since then. I know it's been renewed at least a couple of times.
And it's worked well. And over time, those loans have been paid back, and then subsequently we can turn around and loan those dollars out. And so that's a really nice business incentive that is offered.
I have a couple nice donations the past 3 or 4 months from a couple of organizations. One from the Gage County Foundation, which is helping you out on the Trailhead project at near the Dempster property, and the other one from the Kiwanis Club, which is helping you out in upgrades of a field that's used by Beatrice High School at Hannibal Park. It's kind of nice to have organizations and groups of people around that want to chip in and contribute to things so that government doesn't have to do everything as far as funding things.
Yeah, it's a good public-private partnership. The Chief Standing Bear Trail at South 6th Street and Perkins received a donation from the Gage County Foundation for $50,000 to be used for construction, maintenance, and operation, and other improvements to that trailhead area. And so the council Monday night voted to name the trailhead of Standing Bear Trail the Gage County Foundation Trail Depot. That includes the parking lot. It includes a restroom, and then there's going to be a bike repair station located at that site. Today, the parking lot looks like a holding pond, but with weather permitting, we're going to be able to extend that area out just a little bit. That includes a holding pond, so the water drains off that parking lot, and you don't have the situation of water standing there as we do today. The other one was from the Kiwanis Club, a really generous donation also of $40,000. They paid $30,000 up front. The other $10,000 will come next year, and that's for Field 1 at Hannibal Park. And so we are going to name that, and did the other night through resolution, Kiwanis Field.
The ball fields have been pretty busy these last few
really
weekends.
have.
It's amazing how many people are in town, how many teams are taking advantage of West Scott area and the Hannibal Park area.
Even with the rain that we had last weekend, there were kids playing over the weekend in spite of some of the wind and in spite of some of the cooler temperatures. Kids apparently are a little more insulated to all of that. The older we get, the more really don't care for it.
Well, and the thing about enjoyment and quality of life, it also brings money into town because those people spend
They
money
do.
here.
There's usually a break during ball games, and to satisfy that break, parents and children start shopping in our town, and that's a good thing, and that's why we do what we do with recreational activities.
All right, we'll be back to wrap up our Ask the Mayor program with Mayor Stan Wirth in just a moment. We have about 5 minutes left on our Ask the Mayor program today with Beatrice Mayor Stan Wirth. Maybe just to update a little bit on, eventually there will be a new pre-kindergarten through 5th grade elementary school on the property that the school owns, north of Beatrice High School. I know there's always kind of some discussion about how entrance, exit to that will look, what improvements will be necessary and that the city may be involved in. Right. One of the things that comes up is 33rd Street, the street by Evergreen Home Cemetery. What can you tell me about that?
Well, that street is partially owned by the county and partially owned by the city. And if the work is going to be completed, it has to be done right. You're going to need concrete, you're going to need curb and gutters, you're going to lower the level of the street so that you don't have the large side ditches on both sides. Who is actually responsible for it? I think the city is going to take some responsibility. And I don't know that we're going to take 100% of the responsibility because part of it is owned by the county. However, we will have those discussions. The city assisted the county with Hickory Road when that actually was paved and the improvements were done there. But we're not going to get into any kind of a disagreement or dispute over the situation. It is something that's going to have to be done. If the school is going to be located, obviously it's going to have street improvements, not only on 33rd Street, but also on Lincoln Street. And in those areas, more than likely, they would be a two-lane street with some type of a turn lane. At the intersection of 33rd and Lincoln Street, my guess is there will be a roundabout. There is property there and space there that we can actually incorporate one in there. When school gets out at 3 o'clock, I think there's a shift change about at that same time at BSDC. And so we will take a look at that. It just makes sense to not have stop signs. It makes more sense to have some type of an easy ingress, egress out of both sites.
Do you anticipate any entrance to that site off of U.S. Highway 136 or not? Is that...
no, I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think the access is going to be on 33rd Street and on Lincoln Street.
Okay. Brings into play all kinds of things about state right-of-way and things like that, too.
Sure it
so
does.
It's kind of tough to deal with.
But we're working with JEO Architects, engineering company, beg your pardon, that is going to give us some cost estimates and kind of their rendering of design. They're the same company that is looking at working with us on Lincoln Street between 5th Street and 22nd Street. So it just made sense for them, who have already done a lot of the studies on Lincoln Street, to take a look at what can be done, how to improve it, and what the costs are going to be.
Just a minute or two left, but maybe just a little bit of a discussion about the talk you had on Monday night regarding the establishment of a creative district in downtown Beatrice to sort of show off arts and things like that, maybe a little more pedestrian friendly. What's the prospect of that, really doing a significant benefit for the downtown area, do you think?
I think the improvement possibilities are, quite frankly, endless. You know, if this creative art district, which is commissioned by the Nebraska legislature and the Nebraska Arts Council, if we're approved, we receive $10,000 immediately to do some type of enhancements to downtown. This could actually swell to about $250,000 per year for a period of 5 years. Now, are we anticipating to get the full amount? Probably not. But anything that we get is going to be utilized for marketing our downtown and to maybe do some alley-friendly walkabouts, if you will, and maybe do some murals just to, again, improve the look of our downtown area, or the creative arts district that has been delineated.
Kind of getting in on it early, since it's a relatively new state law, might be an advantage, because the more communities find out about it, might make use of it. Then you get into the more competitive environment of who gets how much grant funding. And that
so an initial letter was submitted, and they indicated that through sending us an application that there is some interest on behalf of the Creative Arts Council for us to maybe take it the next step, and we will take it the next step. Main Street Beatrice is taking the bull by the horns on this, doing all of the heavy lifting, and it's a tribute to them and their processes that they're going through and the time they're spending to try to, again, improve our community.
All right. Mayor, we're out of time today. Thanks very much for coming in again.
Thanks, Douglas.